Hi everybody, this is Shariar and you're watching All of Your Business. In All of Your Business, we talk about economy. And without any further delay, let's talk about today's topics. Today's topics with our guest, Mr. Mitab Haider. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Walaikum assalam.
How are you, sir?
I'm fine.
Sir, I'll begin the first question podcast with the first question, that is FBR is facing a shortfall of rupees 143 billion in achieving its desired target for November. So, what is this happening and how do we see it in the future? Can you tell us in the simpler words?
Bismillah Rahman Rahim. Thank you very much for having me. We talked about economy, but we talked about money. And your first question is related to the money. And everyone is vying to pocket the money.
Yeah.
Because no one can spend his or her life without having money.
Absolutely.
That's why this context is very important. No country can be run without having any income or money. So we are talking about the income of the government of Pakistan. And in first 5 months, there is a shortfall. And this shortfall almost doubled in November. In first 4 months, on average, there was a shortfall of less than 70 billion rupees on average
Mm.
per month.
That's huge.
But in November, it doubled and it went up to, in accordance with the provisional number, it stands at 143 billion rupees. So now this is the juncture where we are standing in terms of country. Now, for this ongoing month,
Mm.
FBR will have to collect more than 1.7 trillion rupees in this month. In November, our total collection was standing at 892 billion rupees, and FBR was expecting that it might touch 900 billion. So FBR will have to collect double the amount in the ongoing financial year, ongoing month of December, in order to achieve the agreed target invested with the IMF. So what will happen? If there will be shortfall, FBR might come up with the prescription of implementing contingency revenue measures. On one side, industry and the business tycoons are asking the government to reduce the tax rates, but the IMF will come up with the prescription that please take some additional revenue measures. And additional revenue measures included raising GST on solar panels from 10% to standard rate of 18%. Pesticide and fertilizer, whether there is a reduced tax rates that might be increased up to almost double. So this kind of prescription is going to suggest or agreed, we have agreed with the IMF, and IMF is going to approve Pakistan's second review and approval of third tranche on 8th of December. So this month is very, very crucial for Pakistan's economy, especially related to the FBR's tax collection target. Although annual target, which was approved by the parliament, was fixed at 14.13 trillion rupees. Now it was already agreed with the IMF to reduce it 13 point almost 980 trillion. So there is reduction, but we will have to manage our revenue side at a time when there is increasing pressure that the government must reduce increased tax rates on the formal manufacturing sector and the salaried class. So this is the juncture where we are standing.
Right, right. Very well put, sir. So my next question to you is this. We talked about the rising inflation in the previous podcast, but now vegetable prices we have seen a sharp decline in them, and there are reports that further the prices could be slashed in Punjab. So this is very good news for
Of course, it's a good
people.
news. Of course, it's a positive development. That's why in my previous podcast, I think 2 or 3 podcasts, I have given you a prediction that the overall inflationary pressures will be hovering around 5 to 7%. It's in line with the figures given by the State Bank of Pakistan. So overall, this number will remain in this bracket. The real challenge is on another front, and that challenge is how much State Bank of Pakistan will be able to reduce the interest rates, which is currently hovering at 11%. This is very crucial. It's crucial because it will help the manufacturers and the industrialists to go ahead with borrowing and expanding their existing manufacturing base. So that's why there's a need to reduce the input cost. But inflation, it's a good omen and it's a good news that especially the food prices are declining. And I think the inflationary figures will hover around in the same range, but we will have to move ahead on account of reducing the policy so that we can give boost to our sluggish economic activities.
Right. So Ogra has raised LPG prices for December. So what is coming ahead for the citizens of Pakistan? We just talked about the food prices and their decline. On the other hand, we are talking about the rising LPG prices.
Actually, energy is the problematic sector.
So globally or in Pakistan?
In Pakistan, there are multiple problems.
Right.
Globally, it's also a problem because most of our energy prices are linked with international prices. Although international demand has shrunk, which actually helped Pakistan to maintain or stabilize its balance of payment issue. But there are some structural problems of energy sector in Pakistan which resulted into multiplying our problems. Our total consumption of LPG is 1.4 billion tons almost in a year. The recent prices now has gone up, but these prices have further increased, especially in twin cities of Islamabad and Rawalpindi. So the Agra, which has fixed the prices, now it is the responsibility of the regulator to regulate the prices so that no one will be able to exploit the market. Because market forces, keeping in view the market forces, there should be no element of exploitation.
So, as an expert, what do you think? How challenging it is for the regulator?
I think
In Pakistan.
in terms of LPG, because we are importing RLNG and it's expensive. LPG is the solution for the domestic consumers where there is no availability of gas connections. So I think it is the responsibility of the order to move ahead and avoid allowing anyone to exploit or distort the market.
Right. So, government is considering to abolish the personal baggage scheme for used car imports. So, what does this mean? What does this mean in the simpler words? And what could be its implications for the citizens of Pakistan?
Actually, there are 3 schemes. One is with the personal baggage, another one is the transfer of residence, and the third one is the gift scheme. Now, and ECC is the competent authority to take decision on this, and then, of course, the federal cabinet is going to ratify it. Earlier, this summary was moved, and then the ECC decided to return it back to the Ministry of Commerce with the direction to hold consultation with all stakeholders. So the local auto manufacturers, which are around 12 to 50, they are steadily opposing this kind of any incentive for imported used cars. But government of Pakistan has accepted the IMF condition to rationalize the tariff for imports, and they have given a roadmap of 5 years period to bring a competitive environment for on account of reducing the tariffs for the imported cars and for other products as well. Now, this summary is going to be considered by the ECC because auto sector claims that all of these schemes, especially the all the three schemes, are misused. This allegation of the auto sector. Now let's see what the government is going to take a decision because in Pakistan the car prices are too much high and it is very difficult for middle class income earners to afford new cars. So, keeping in view these two aspects, ECC is going to consider these three schemes, but Ministry of Commerce, in its summary, has proposed to abolish one of them, and that is the personal baggage, and allow two other schemes in terms of gifts and transfer of residence, but make it more stringent. For instance, I can give you an example. If someone is going to import a used car outside from uh, Pakistan, there are there will be some tough conditions. For instance, uh, he will have to stay there for at least outside Pakistan for transfer of residence for more than almost 3 years. He will be allowed to, and if someone is, for instance, has stayed in Dubai, but most of the cars are being imported from Japan. So these kind of distortions is proposed to be plugged in so that there should be no misuse of this import policy.
Right. So my next question to you is a very surprising development, and that is Asia's manufacturing powerhouses are experiencing a demand slowdown in November. So which is very surprising, and I would like you to brief the audience about what the reasons behind this
Actually,
slowdown.
in winter there is a possibility of slowdown of economic activity and demand decreases. So there are multiple reasons, and you know there are some international factors as well as some regional or local factors which are impacting the demand. But we should keep in mind if the demand of energy is decreasing in any part of the world, it's a good sign for Pakistan. Why? Because we are import dependent country, and it will help our economic managers to stabilize their external accounts. For instance, we have seen that the current account, which was surplus in last financial year, but in current financial year, it has turned into a deficit of around $733 million in first 4 months period. So I think there is a need to increase the demand, but keeping in view the requirements and the situation of Pakistan's economy, it is a good development for Pakistan.
Right, right. Thank you so much, sir. This was all for today. If you want us to discuss some specific topic or if you want us to talk about some specific economic development, do let us know in the comments. Till then, keep watching All of Your Business. Take care.